Welcome to another episode of Creative Appetite. Today I'm joined by my good friend Jarren. He owns a clothing brand called Street Scene AU, which specialises in creating a community based around Japanese imports and tuners.
That was really well put. I've never heard anyone put it like that.
I'm impressed that it came out of my mouth. Yeah, nailed it. So let's get into it. What's it about? So is it just purely based on the sunny coast, or is it all throughout Australia?
Well, the long-term goal is to bring it all throughout Australia, but it was originally founded on the coast because we used to have a good scene here on the coast, but I don't really know the history of it too well, but I know that a bunch of clubs unfortunately couldn't continue just because of the car community getting a bad rap. So basically, my goal is to bring that good rap back and really involve the community on the Sunshine Coast, bring them together, and really show them that we can do something here on the coast and be responsible about it as well. Because at the moment, due to bad behaviour, actually, one of our biggest clubs actually just got shut down. They didn't get shut down, but they decided not to continue just because they couldn't keep people under control. So, that pretty much just opened up a good gap in the market, and I saw that, and just decided to turn one of my passions into a business, I guess.
How do you manage keeping it under control? So, like, people that do turn up to these events, is there like strict rules that you follow to make sure that people aren't doing anything too crazy?
I mean, yes and no. I think the easiest way is to get a private venue, obviously, because if you're hosting events at public venues, you don't really have power to remove anyone that's demonstrating bad behaviour. And you can also put measures in place like filming number plates as everyone comes in and handing any wrongdoers over to the police, just things like that.
Yeah. I remember growing up, there was I used to be like really into the Japanese car scene.
Oh, true.
Yeah, like it used to be kind of like, as I was growing up, it was kind of like a big thing. And like, shout out to Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious, for just like bringing it over.
Classic
Fast and Furious childhood. But yeah, and I remember I used to love it. I mean, I used to love those cars, especially one of my favorite cars is the Nissan Silvia S15.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I find like as a silhouette, you can do so much with it. Like stock standard looks pretty sick, but then when you start actually adding stuff to it, you can turn them into like little weapons.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely have to be one of my favorites as well. Just such a clean car.
It's so clean, and like the back tail lights as well. They're so like everything about it just screams sexy.
Yeah, pretty much. I get you on that one.
Yeah.
It might sound weird saying that about cars, but people understand.
Just as it came out of my mouth, I was like, "Oh, that sounds pretty fun." But no, what made you want to even get into this?
Well, basically, cars have kind of always been in my life. Of course, again, cliche. I did always love the Fast and Furious series, watching it right from the first film all the way up to about number 7, because I feel like they just didn't get that good after number 7.
Yeah, I stopped watching after I think it was the 5th one. Where I was like, this is just starting to be a bit too stupid.
Too action based.
I think it's the first 3 that are good.
Yeah, definitely.
They're the best ones.
They're the classics, like the trilogy. So, and then I played a lot of PlayStation as a kid. So we had so many good games on there, like the Need for Speed series.
Yeah, that was sick.
Specifically Carbon, Most Wanted, and Underground 2. I think Underground 2. I think that was the name of it.
Underground 2.
Yeah, those were like the 3 best games. And then also titles like, I don't know if you know or ever heard of the game Juiced.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So those were good, Juiced 2. And then some of the Burnout series as well.
Yeah.
Those were really cool.
Forza's like more racing, isn't it? Like Forza 4 and stuff.
Oh,
like that
it was until they released their Forza Horizon series, and that was more open world, which I did play a lot of that as well. And I don't really even know what happened, but basically as I grew older, I just didn't believe that I would ever be in a position to be able to get like a cool car. Like for some reason, I never saw it being a reality, but pretty much it was just recently when I left school, I kind of like was able to get back into that scene, and I had a good friend, Dan, actually. He owns a cool car, so I'm like, wow, I actually can own a cool car, and it's not like way out of my budget. Because I used to think you would need like hundreds of thousands of dollars to build these things, but it depending on what car you want, the entry level is pretty good.
I definitely. It just depends too now, like what you get, because back when we're probably, how old are you?
19.
Yeah, so our age gap is nearly 10 years. So when I was growing up, yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? I act like I'm 19. No, but when I was growing up, I can't even believe I'm fucking saying that sounds so weird. When I was growing up, so Supras, like Toyota Supras,
Yeah.
you could pick them up for like $6,000, and now they're like $100,000. I'm not even kidding. Like Supras were shit. They were shit boxes. No, like they're mad cars, and they're really well designed, and obviously that's why the price point is like it is now. But
Yeah.
when I was growing up, man, no one cared about Supras. The only cars people cared about were Skylines, Silvias, sometimes the Imprezas, the WRXs, and there was one other one. But the Skylines and the Silvias were the main two that most people were trying to buy, or the Honda S2000s. A lot of people like those as well.
Yeah, right. Those are actually really rare now.
Yeah, and they're all very rare.
I only ever seen like one S2000 in person. And that point about the Supra actually makes me really frustrated. Because you could get like a Toyota Supra, a rolling shell for like 20 grand nowadays. Like a rolling shell.
Yeah, if I knew what I knew now, I 100% would have bought like 3 of them, because
take a bank loan out, buy 10 of them.
I'm not joking. They were going for like $6,000, $10,000. Like they were so cheap. I saw some of them going for like 3.
Jeez.
That hurts, doesn't it? Considering how
born in the wrong
And
era.
then what was fucked about this? I really got to stop swearing. But what was more crazy about this was that I didn't know that, because I got out of the scene. I stopped following it, and I didn't know how expensive they got until someone mentioned it to me. They're like, "Have you seen how expensive Supras are these days?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" I had a look, and I was like, 50 grand. I was like, you were taking the piss.
Yeah.
I was like, they're not even worth that much. Like, I don't see the appeal as to why they're so expensive. I don't know if it's because they're rare, but yeah, I definitely don't feel like they're worth that kind of money.
I think a lot of it has to do with just the build quality of specifically the engine, the 1JZ and the 2JZ engine, and then also how simple the cars were to work on as well, because now in modern day cars you have all the electrics and all that. So these old Japanese and European cars are actually really easy for people to work on without having to spend thousands at getting something fixed or modified at a shop or a mechanic. So I think that's probably where the main appeal comes from. Okay. And then also just certain design aspects as well. Like even myself, you look at some of the new sports cars being released, and it's just not the same.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a new sports car that kind of interests me. Maybe I do enjoy the silhouette of the Toyota. What are they called? It's the one that the Subaru and Toyota have done the same. It's the exact same car. They've just changed the back head tail lights, I think.
Oh, the BRZ in the 86.
Yeah. I really like them. I think I've seen there was a really cool one. I'm pretty sure he's on the sunny coast. It's a blue, like a metallic blue, and it like shoots nitrous out the top, out of his bonnet and stuff. But he must have neons or something underneath it, and it changes. They like run rainbows underneath the car. Like it looks.
Oh, I think you're talking about Thick 86.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I think he's actually on the Gold Coast.
I just saw it on Instagram. I was like, dude, this is sick.
That's a mad popular build.
It's so cool, and that's probably like the only car that I've seen in the tuner scene recently where I was actually pretty stoked on. I was like, man, he's like really thought that out.
Yeah, wow.
Because when I was growing up, neons and stuff were the in thing.
Yeah.
All because of the first Fast and the Furious, when the Honda Civics had like the green neons underneath and it was all blacked out, which I think is timeless. Like that green and black just seems to work.
Yeah, definitely. That was a pretty good combo. I get what you're saying though. It's not as popular these days.
No.
I don't know why. I think people just view it as a bit gimmicky.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, this is why I was interested in what you were doing, because for all I knew, the whole scene was gone. Like, I saw it come and go, and that's why I was like, I didn't think, now that I'm starting to see it come back, I didn't realize that there was still people out there that enjoyed it that much that they wanted to keep the scene alive.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that even explains the reason why some of these prices are being driven so high up as well. Just like the growth of the JDM and Euro community over the past few years has been absolutely insane. Like, insane.
Yeah, I've only recently started seeing it since you guys started doing your stuff. And then when I saw how many cars were at your meet, I was like, far out, man. There's like people that are still loving it, like still full passionate about it. And even more so now, not just with tuners, but the old like Toyota Corolla, not Corollas. What was it? One of your friends had it was like an old Toyota.
Oh, Cressida.
Yeah, the Cressidas and stuff. Like, I was like, oh man, I didn't even think people would do them up.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
That's crazy.
I believe they came with the 1J, the 1JZ engine stock. So I think, that's why.
Yeah, okay.
Because they're like one of the best engines ever built, and they just sound amazing. So
yeah, it's pretty unreal when you go to a shed or something and you hear them start the car for the first time. And you hear like rumbling.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember when I was in Sydney, there was the mechanic. So I used to own a Subaru WRX.
Oh, true.
Yeah, it was a little fun fact. It was a weapon. It was a mad little car. I think it was running like 17-pound boost. Like, used to fucking just used to zip around Sydney.
Dude, should have kept it.
I should have kept it now looking back on it, because it'd probably be worth
it would be worth a bit, eh?
It was a 2004 model Subaru WRX, and it was so sick. It was like, same as you, like growing up, I didn't think I could ever afford a tuner. So in the end, I was like, I started with the Navy and got some financial freedom, and I was feeling pretty good. I was like, I'm just going to buy one. And then, bought it up in Darwin when I was up there. Man, it was so much fun. I used to bang around in it all the time. Yeah. Super loud, like had the 6-inch Canon, like, exhaust tip on it. It was so cool. But I remember when because I used to take that car to Sydney, this Sydney tuner mechanic, and one day he had a drift team from New Zealand over.
Jeez.
It was a Nissan Silvia, but it was like twin turbo. It had like 700 horsepower. Yeah. Had this exhaust coming out the front wheel. And then I remember when I was like there, they were trying to put it on the truck, so we reversed it back, started it up. And the whole shed, like everything was just like rumbling. I was like, wow. I was so excited. It's so good. It just makes you like feel alive. You're like, oh. I think my favorite car of all time would be the 67 Shelby Mustang.
Oh,
you know Eleanor out of Gone in 60 Seconds?
No, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh, mate, you don't even watch car movies, man.
When was it released?
Oh, Gone in 60 Seconds would have been released in like the 90s.
Oh, definitely way before my time then. Bro, I'm a 2000s baby.
Yeah, you're like, if it ain't Fast and Furious 1, I don't know what you're talking about. But Eleanor's a 67, Shelby Mustang. It's like I have to show you a photo of it. But anyway, it's like the ultimate car to me.
I'm pretty sure I know the car, I just don't know the movie.
Yeah, it's like silver with like the black racing stripes down the front of it.
Oh, like I think I can picture that.
You know, because it's pretty like iconic.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's also worth like $200,000. I'm like, I just don't have that kind of money.
Touching on that point before that you made about like starting the cars up, I think that's one of the most fascinating things to me, that like just being people that are interested in cars, it's like so funny how just even that can like just spark something in you. You go, oh yeah, I just want to like take it out, just flog it, just go, you know? Like it's so weird because to anyone else, it's just like 4 wheels, metal, cool stuff. Yeah, and then to us, it's just like so much more than that.
I think that's the thing that I'd like to maybe get across in this podcast to people that don't really understand cars, because I think for a lot of the time people think that owning that type of car just makes you like some rev head idiot who goes out doing burnouts and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's actually more than that to people. It's kind of like similar to someone who loves surfing. Like it holds a special place in that person's heart. and it makes them feel a certain way. Just like this podcast makes me feel a certain way. It makes me feel really excited about doing it. Like I get this feeling of like this elated feeling where I'm feeling really happy and I want to go out there and do more. And I guess it's the same for people who work on cars. Like it makes them feel like not only a part of like a community, but it also like that gives them purpose, which is, so I don't really like when people comment and say that everyone that owns tuners is a bunch of like, they're just fucking rev heads and they're just, it's like, it's not that. It's actually more than that. And I think it gets such a bad rap all the time.
Yeah, 100%. Slightly controversial, but I think it may be partially due to the fact that we are in Australia. You know, the AU Falcon, the Commodore. I think it's pretty fair to say that those hold most of the responsibility for the bad rap that the car community gets. But I personally think that you'll find most people in the JDM and Euro community actually like kind of, I don't know what the right word is for it, look down upon, not look down upon, but frown upon like bad behaviour and revving and all that, because it's just that type of behaviour that ruins the car scene, really.
Well, not only that, it's like people spend countless hours and time and money on these cars, and they're not cheap. So why would they then want to go out and destroy their car by revving the fuck out of it and doing burnouts? Like that doesn't. It'd be like making this really nice piece of china and then going out and throwing it on the ground and smashing it. It's like no one would 100%. Do that. Like no one's gonna want to do that. So why would you? Like this is like the general public. It's like why would you then think that people that own these cars are gonna go out and do something stupid? It's like they don't. It's like that's their pride and joy. They're not out there just going, yeah, I'm gonna bang it down the road. Like,
yeah, exactly.
This isn't a VN Commodore with some stockies on the back, 20 inches on the front.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what I like. So when I grew up, that's what we had. Like in the small country town where I grew up, it was like stockies on the back, 20-inch rims on the front. One of my good mates back home, that was the first car he brought. It was a VY Commodore. And he put 20-inch rims on it and like a big, back in the day, with like having the big sub in the back, the big 20-inch sub. Oh, it's so crazy. And now looking back on it, I'm like, I would never do that to my car. Yeah. Like you can't, the other thing is like when you put 20-inch rims on your car, you can't even turn. Like your turning circle is just gone.
Yeah, exactly. And like, don't get me wrong, I love drifting and I love that type of stuff, but it has to be done in the right environment. So like if you do it out in whoop or in a controlled environment, that is like completely fine. But I just think mainly for the safety of the general public as well, it's probably best to keep it away from like main areas and like cities and stuff.
Yeah, that's it. It's like don't be a dickhead and do it down the main street in front of everyone. Like no one thinks you're cool for starters.
Yeah.
And secondly, you're just going to get yourself in trouble. And then also give everyone else a bad name. Like if you want to go out down a back road and go for gold, then that's mad. Like go to that because then you by yourself, or you're with your mates, but no one else is around you, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So that's that's what I think about it anyway. Did you always because you take photography and you also take photos of other people's videos and photos of other people's cars? Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that a part of the street scene?
Yeah. So that's actually how it like kind of mainly started. So before I released any sort of stickers or clothing or anything, I just started off as like photography page, just like, yeah, pretty much just that, just hitting people up, just being like, I'd really love to take photos of your build and like really capture that. So that's just what I did. I just messaged a bunch of people and I gave myself a task to get one photo shoot per week. So when I really put my mind to that, I was achieving that and I was going out on photo shoots and really enjoyed it. And that shows through the Instagram page as well. I think nearly every single photo on there I've actually taken myself. And then I've also used a couple photos from a good mate that lives in Brisbane and he also does photography. So I like to support him as well.
Yeah, your photos are like crazy. Well, to me, they're crazy because they're so cinematic. And it's just of this like nice, like they're just, I don't know, the way they're edited, it just makes this nice cinematic look of this nice car. It kind of, it gets me excited every time I look at it. I'm like, it kind of almost makes me want to go out and buy a tuner now.
Yeah,
and just do it up myself.
Yeah, I think I know exactly what type you're thinking of. I think you're thinking of rollers.
Yeah, probably.
So that's when you like capture the car like in movement, but the car is still.
Yeah.
So like that's literally like hanging out the window of a car with your camera, just like bringing the shutter speed all the way down to like 1/50, 1/60, and then you just take the photo. And because the background's moving so quick, that's what creates that nice blur and motion. And then if you can manage to keep still enough, it'll keep the car in focus. And just gave away the secret to rollers.
It's good. It's good to
dropping free game for everyone that's watching this.
I think it's good to. This is what I like to do, especially is I think it's good to give people technique, insight, because I find a lot of the time when you speak to people, that no one ever when I've been watching, you never know how they do it. You don't need to give them everything, but it's nice to just give someone like a little bit so they can at least half-ass take that photo, and to them that's like the best photo that they've ever taken. So then they're on the journey of like taking better photos.
Yeah, that's it, 100%. I think the best thing to do is just point people in the right direction instead of trying to force them in your direction, because people have to want to like learn and want to do it to be able to go down that path. So
yeah, for sure. What would be the best car that you've taken a photo of? It's going to be controversial because all your friends that are listening are going to be like, whose car is it?
There is one photo that I still think to this day I haven't quite beaten, and it was a roller shot, and it was of a mate, Kai. He has an R34 GTT or GTST. It's one of those two. But at the time, it was like pretty stock. He had good wheels on it. I think he had an exhaust. I think he had turboed it at that time as well, or it might have still been NA. But it was pretty stock, which is a bit of a shame, but it's all right. And we were just out the back of Roy's Road. Dan was driving, and we were just going back and forth, just taking rollers, and then there's just this one shot where like the whole car is in focus, and then the background just has like that perfect blur, and then even the way I edit it as well just makes it look so unreal and so dreamy. Like the car just looks smooth.
That's so sick.
And I still haven't been able to beat it, because a couple years later, when Kai had done more stuff to the car as well, we went out for a second time to try beat that shot, and just personally I just feel like I just couldn't do it, just fell short. So that's probably got to be my favorite photo. But in terms of cars, I am pretty biased when it comes to cars. Like I'm a big BMW fanboy, and then I also like the R31. I do love S15s as well.
Yeah, S15s. Although the GTR is the R34s, the Godzillas.
I think the R33s were originally nicknamed the Godzillas, but
what's the
GTRs,
one out of the Fast and Furious 2, the silver one that he drives? That's R34, isn't it? Isn't it R34?
Yeah, that's an R34 GTR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like one of my all-time favorite cars.
Yeah.
They just look so sick. They're also worth like $100,000.
Yeah,
They're
like
so
starting point.
It's so expensive.
Because you can get different variants as well. You can get like M spec and V spec. Like they're just like different. I guess kind of the luxury models type of thing, and they can start anywhere at like 200,000 for a clean straight one.
Is it when you were growing up? Were your parents into cars?
Not at all. Not at all, to be honest. It was pretty much just the Fast and Furious films that we like all watched together, but that is probably the most that my family has had anything to do with cars, to be honest.
So where did you get the inspiration and like the drive to start getting into cars? Were your friends into cars?
Not really as well, to be honest. I don't even know.
It's just within you.
It's just kind of like a mix of nostalgia, I guess. I guess I didn't even realize it as a kid. I just watched all the Fast and Furious films. I played all those games on the PlayStation 2, the Xbox One. And then it wasn't until like I got older when I got my license and started to look for project cars that I really found like what makes that excitement for me. And I guess that was it. Just coming to that realization that, yeah, like I'm at that age now where I can like do what I want. I can buy that project car. I can work on it myself instead of just like having it as a dream, you know?
Yeah, for sure. It's just interesting to see how people, where they get, like what gets them started and how they,
Yeah.
But like yours is kind of funny because there's nothing in there that you
Yeah,
you
it's
like,
not real like
it's actually just come
it's
from a
not
game.
a real definitive point where I can be like, oh, my dad used to build like Holden Monaro GTs when he was younger and we went out drifting and that's what sparked it. I kind of just like played video games and then decided when I was older, I was like, yeah, this actually makes me excited. This is cool.
That's so sick. Because I couldn't even, I wouldn't be able to tell someone a definitive point. If someone turned around that question to me about this, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, it was because I've just done so much creative stuff.
Yeah.
That it's kind of led me to this.
I guess that type of stuff, it just happens sometimes. Like, there's not always going to be a definitive point.
No.
It can usually be like a collective series of events that just leads to, I don't know, maybe you were listening to some podcast and then maybe someone mentioned it to you. Maybe you were on one. And then you just came to the thought, yeah, why not just like start my own? And then you just ended up here.
It's like natural progression, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't always have to have like a definitive moment.
Yeah, it's not like, boom.
You're like, yeah, today was like this day on this time. It's like everything, like this whole podcast came from everything else that had happened.
Mm.
And then when I started, because I had a pre-podcast before this one that I never released anything, but when I was doing it, it just felt natural to me to be doing it. So then when I came to the coast, I was like, I'm going to start it and do it. And it just seems like, for me, it just seems like the best way to speak to a lot of creative people while staying creative. Because I find that's the most interesting thing, is like speaking to creative people and seeing what they do, because it's just really exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Podcasts are a great hack tool, to be honest. Like, you just get to sit down for like an hour to an hour and a half and just like pick someone's brain and like have a genuine conversation with them. And yeah, it's just sick.
It's the best. It's so
legit.
It's just like a fun time, and you can just be yourself and just talk shit.
Yeah, that's it. That's
just what we're doing on here.
Yeah.
So with your project, what's the creative process like? When you're designing clothes, like what's like the vision that you're trying to put out? So obviously your branding's pretty, it's not basic, but it's not like over the top either. So are you planning on like designing, like what's your designs going to be in the future for your clothes?
I'm a big simple guy. I love minimalistic and simple clothing. So that's kind of what I'm trying to stick with Street Scene. So, but also like kind of going for that real street aggressive type vibe, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense. It makes sense on like when you look at your logo, because it's very minimalistic, but the font makes it aggressive.
Yeah.
So I don't know who did your design, but if I'm assuming when you explain that to them, they've definitely hit the nail on the head, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm a big believer in Fiverr.com.
Yeah, I think I don't utilize it enough.
I flipping love that website. It is so good. So many talented people on there for good prices too. Like, yeah, just hit the nail on the head really, because I don't really do much graphic design. I can do like simple stuff, but I can't do anything to this degree. So I was pretty much just like, you know what? I reckon it would be cool to have like an aggressive style font with an R34 GTR kind of like hanging over the top. So, I actually just realized I got two logos. This is the first one. This is the one with like the words. So yeah, hit that on the head really. Yeah, just captured it perfectly. And then same with the second one. I was just like, just for inspiration, just send him like an emblem type thing from another club. And then he sent it back and yeah, it was just sick. It was like a real aggressive type vibe. It has the R34 on it and just captured it, what I was trying to go for perfectly. So yeah.
No, it's sick. I reckon it looks cool.
I feel like I explained that so poorly because my mind was just running in a million places.
I was like listening to you explain it. I'm like, my mind started going like, I was like, wait, what?
I think I confused myself because this technically like isn't my logo. The main logo I use is the emblem one.
The one on the hat?
What am I wearing? I don't even know what I'm wearing now.
It says Street Scene AU.
Oh no, this is just the second design of the hat.
Wait, so how many designs do you have? So lost.
Yeah, so
anyway, there's plenty of logos going around.
Yeah, so pretty much the main, like the branding logo. I don't know if you can see it from here, but I do have a hat laying around somewhere that has it. It's just like if you can picture a Boy Scouts like badge, it's like a badge shape, and then it has Street Scene AU at the bottom,
no, I think
and it has the
yeah.
R34 GTR. So
Yeah.
that's like the main logo, and then this was actually the second logo that he sent through, and then this one that's on my hat was just a design that I was playing around with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the correct way it goes.
That's how we got there in the end.
We got there.
Anyone listening is going to be like, what are you talking about? But we got there, so that's all right. That's the main thing. Do you feel like now that you've started it, that you have a responsibility to keep it going and provide avenues for car lovers on the Sunshine Coast?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. Like, I know that it'll always be up to me and it will be my decision. Like, whatever happens, happens. But I just like so badly want to see the community thrive on the coast and really bring it back to what it once was. Because I was always told stories just of like the previous clubs that we had here and the big meets and like the whole culture, and then bad behavior like got it all shut down, and just seeing it like empty on the coast now and having to travel to Brisbane every single time is just like a bit aggravating. So yeah, I guess there is some sort of responsibility there, but I kind of just use that to fuel me to use it and do it for good things.
Yeah. Now that I've started following you, I've started noticing tuners on the coast.
That happens.
I'm like, huh. And I found out, so I could butcher this, but so there's this theory, there's this thing in your brain called the reticular activating system. I think that's right.
I have a feeling I know where you're going with this.
And it's like, and once you start seeing something, you will actively start seeing something. So for me, I own a Toyota Land Cruiser, like an old 75 series.
Yeah. And
now I just see like Land Cruisers everywhere.
Yeah.
And constantly like see them. Do you feel the same? Like, do you, now that you started, like, because you own a tuner, is that what they call them these days, tuners? Or is that
I like the word.
Is that like an outdated?
But I've never heard anyone say that, to
really?
be honest.
You've never heard someone say it, call it a tuner?
No, not really. I guess
right.
we just call them project cars or JDM cars or Euro cars.
Yeah, right. So when I was growing up, they were called tuners because they're like, they got turbos on them, all that kind of stuff. Or they're called rice burners, which is like a very like old Australian like saying for someone who doesn't like them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're like, oh, this bloody rice burner. I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, there still is a term, ricer. If people say that you have a ricer, it just means that you've done like all these aesthetic mods, like body kits, underglow, wheels and all that, but you got no performance mods.
Ah. See, it's so different to when I was growing up. It's so interesting to see how it is now, which is kind of why I find it interesting that people are, I guess, like the younger generation are coming through and they're like loving it, and they're just. I'm sure there's plenty of older guys in there that love it too. I'm not.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm not that old. I'm only 28. Jeez, I sound like I'm like some 40-year-old male. Some like outdated guy.
Yeah.
Who's the There's another street scene on the sunny coast. Is it like 999? Is that those guys?
Oh, 49 crew. Yeah, that's a good
49.
mate, Corey.
He's got a 350Z. Is that right?
Yeah, I think he's got 2 now. Actually, yeah.
They're a cool.
He just
car.
bought another one. They are. They're not quite a JDM legend, but they're definitely like one of those like foundational cars.
Yeah.
Like the 350s, the 370s, like definitely part of the backbone to JDM cars.
Do you what you've got a BMW, don't you?
Yep, I got a 325 Ci.
And what do you want to do with it?
I'm a real big fan of like luxury and low and slow builds, but I also know that like the E46 is a more of like a streety, zippy kind of build. So I kind of want to make a good mix of like kind of like a luxury build, but also good for the streets as well, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes sense. How would you put like a wide body kit on it and like rims and
Well, I think wide bodies are like dummy expensive, but I would love to.
Are they expensive?
I believe so. I think that's the main reason why many people don't do it, but I definitely want to get good coilovers for it, slam it, get some good wheels.
Put some airbags on it.
Yeah. Oh, bags would be sick. They are expensive though. Like the cheapest airbag suspensions can run you like $4,000 to $4,500. Yeah,
it's expensive if you're like just starting out.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch do you remember like the old Toyota Hiluxes and they used to bag them?
There's actually a few of them still around.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I thought they were gone.
I can't think of the names off the top of my head, but I know at least 2 that are like, are they from the 2000s? Like early, like 2002.
Yeah. The old dual cabs.
Yeah.
And they used to put they used to have tubs on them, so then they'd put an airbag system in the tub.
Yeah.
And what they used to do was down in Wollongong, I don't know if they did it many places, they used to put like a chrome or like a steel sheet underneath the tub. And when they bagged it, they'd drop the back end and drive down the highway and like shoot sparks out the back.
Yeah, I think a few of them still do that. I've seen a few of them around. They're so sick.
It looks cool in
like
photos.
Full pimp rides, eh? They're
like
sick.
When you're doing rollers, it looks sick. When you got like sparks shooting out the back.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to shoot one of them actually. So if there's anyone who owns a slammed Hilux out here on bags and can shoot sparks, whether that's with the sheet of metal underneath or that's just your tub hitting the ground, I don't mind.
Just
it's up to you.
Straight scraping.
But yeah, I'd love to shoot that. That'd be sick.
Yeah, that would be cool. I haven't seen, like, talking about this now, I'm just thinking about all the different cars that I used to see when I was growing up, and that was a massive one. Those Toyotas were huge. They were massive back in the day. What's like the direction that you want to take the company now?
I love it when you call it a company.
That's what it is.
That sounds so sick.
That's what it is essentially, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Basically, long term, I'd love to just be doing like, I want to say like once a week, just do some sort of event, whether that's like community barbecues, car meets, cruises, or getting like a big headquarters and then like decking a section out with like racing simulators and having like an area for club members to like come in and mingle and stuff like that. That would be absolutely sick. Because like I really just want to make it community based. Just really like bring the community together and really bring back what it is. So that's where I want to go long term. Just make it huge and then spread across to multiple states as well. I think that would be awesome to have some media teams all throughout the States, and then possibly like different headquarters over the world as well.
Kind of like the do you ever remember the Hot Fours magazine?
It rings a bell. It rings a bell.
Man, I'm just hitting you with all this vintage shit. That's not like 10 years apart. So Hot Fours was a magazine kind of like, there was another one. Shit, what was the other one? It was like, Hot Fours was all the tuners. And then there was another Australian one that would like had all the muscle cars in it and stuff.
Oh, I remember seeing quite a few of them. You'd always see like Tiranas on the front.
Yeah. I just can't remember the name of the magazine. I think it was like Street something. I just can't remember what it was.
Street Machine?
Street Machine. Yeah.
So was that it?
Yeah, Street Machine and Hot Fours were the two like main ones. Do you think you'll make a magazine?
Believe it or not, this might blow your mind. That was the original idea that I had in my head.
Just to run a magazine?
A digital magazine, yep. I was sitting at my old office job, just on the computer, and I was like, you know what would be sick? If I had like a car magazine and then I could feature other people's builds in it and then speak about their builds, and then just like pay a team of graphic designers to make a magazine and release magazines. That was the original idea behind Street Scene AU. And then I was like, oh, that's going to be costly. So why don't we like diversify, start off with like clothing, creating a community, creating a club type of feel. And then, yeah, definitely still want to do a magazine type thing in the future. And then even with the YouTube content as well, that's almost kind of like a video magazine. So I'm assuming by the time this podcast comes out, I will have released my build reviews.
Yeah, so
my build review comes out tomorrow, so I'm assuming this won't be
unless
tomorrow.
I go home and quickly edit it and whip it out.
Smash it out. Yeah, so basically, yeah, that'll be like a digital version of what I wanted to do with the magazine, just like, because another kind of like pillar to Street Scene is like really emphasizing how it's an art form and how people express themselves through their cars. So that was the idea to me that really stood out when I made Street Scene, to be able to like approach someone and be like, hey man, I really want to feature your build in my like article or video and have you talk about like your build and all the things that you put into it and like what it means to you and how you've expressed yourself through it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like it's kind of like what I'm doing now, like getting people to come on and talk about what makes them, like gives them drive and what their creative stuff's about. So like it's similar.
Yeah.
And it's cool to allow people to, without them even knowing, speak creatively, because I think a lot of people don't think that they're creative. Like I don't know what it's like in the street scene, but I'm just going to go on a whim and assume that the people that are building these cars aren't looking at as a creative aspect. They're just looking at it as something that they like to do, where it actually is super, super creative, especially the way you design it, or what you do, or what parts you put on your engine to do certain things. Like I find that pretty creative because it's not something that I would normally do.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I think there'd be a lot of people that don't even realise it. But I think it's also surprising how many creative people are actually in the scene as well. Like, even, I don't know if it was a massive thing back then, but nowadays, like, I've seen a couple of cars where they've actually gotten an artist to, like I don't know if it's a wrap or a respray or
like
something.
Airbrush it.
Yeah, and they've like put artwork either under the hood, or like on the back of the cars, like an anime character.
Yeah, that's sick. I've seen that.
And I just remember sitting there and thinking, wow, that must be so sick to like go to an artist and ask to collaborate and have like a piece of their work on your car.
Yeah, I've seen a few cars. There used to be heaps in the lowrider scene. A lot of those cars get airbrushed or they get pinstriped, and they look like, it looks sick. Like, it looks so cool. So it is definitely super creative in the way that they put it together. it just makes me wonder if they think it's creative, like the people that are like putting these cars together, or if it's, I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out who's someone who's like really built one up, which would look super creative, to see if they think it's creative or if it's just something that they're passionate about. Because it's something like with what I mean by creative is like people think that like business people aren't creative.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that to me that's super creative, because I can't whip up a business model. Then that's creative. Like you're using your brain to create something, and like that is what being creative is. It's like creating something that someone else hasn't done or whatever. So I just it'd be interesting to see if someone, like if people look at their cars in that aspect and think to themselves that you're like, yeah, I'm really creative. Like that's, do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. No, I get what you mean.
I'm probably just like sounding a dickhead.
Like when people are like putting mad camber on their wheels and like respraying their cars like a sick color and like doing all these things to it, like whether that even goes to their head and be like, yeah, this is how I see like cool or beauty, or whether they're just like, looks good.
Like this is
Let's
how I express my creativity. Or they're just like,
yeah, for sure.
It's just interesting to see.
I know as a creative person myself, that's how I'd feel. I know I'd be like, yeah, how do I want to feel about this build? What do I want to make people feel? Given that I have a creative background in photography, used to do a lot of YouTube as well and stuff like that.
Have you had a lot of people come up to you and be thankful that you're starting to create this community? Like, do you feel like you're actually creating a community on the coast?
Bro, it's insane. It is insane. It actually like almost makes me feel emotional when I talk about it. Well, I've never talked about it before. This is a first.
This is it.
Because it was a quick first few months. I think in the first 3 months, I was going at a rate of 100 followers per month. So I was at like 300 followers after the first 3 months. And it's not until there was a bit of a middle period where I kind of like slowed down. I was hitting some roadblocks. I just had to like do some nitty gritty shit with the business to keep it afloat. But I'm in a position now where I've got like all the back end stuff, so I can really jump into that community stuff. And ever since like hosting car cruises with Artie, or known as Rolling Frames on Instagram, shout out to him, he's a bloody legend. Ever since hosting those events and then taking photos for people and then starting the YouTube content as well, YouTube content has been big. I've just been like getting messages even from other club owners being like, yo, love what you guys are doing. Like, it inspires us to make our club better and like do this and do that. And like, just thank you guys for doing what you're doing on the coast. And it's not until like I sat down the other day and just like slowed down for a bit and then read through some of those messages. I'm like, yeah, this is what it's all about. Just like,
it's so sick. Like it makes you feel like, gives you purpose. You're like, oh yeah, exactly. Like this is, it kind of happened to me the other day. I was sitting down watching the Harry episode with him and his friend, and I'd never met his friend. And like the whole time I've been doing this podcast, I don't know if people find value in it or if people were just like watching it and then getting out and not really watching the whole thing. But when we were watching it, his friend was like getting real amped up, and he's like, oh my God, like this is crazy. Like he goes, this makes me want to get out there and like I want to do this and do that. And I was just sitting there watching this unfold, and I'd never met this person. This is the first time I met him. And it just made me like, I was like speechless. I was like, this whole time, like the whole point of this podcast is to make people want to get out there and chase their dreams and just be inspired to do more. And just like watching someone get so excited and like he's like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I was like, man, that's insane. Like I was just like, that's crazy. So I could only imagine what it must feel like for you when you have multiple different people coming in and just messaging you going, hey, thank you so much for like creating this space for us to do this and do that or whatever. Like it's just, it must be sick. Like
100%, man. I get what you mean, because like I feel like a lot of people may not even realize how much effort like you put into podcasting, how much effort I put into like business and stuff. So like I'm sure you've had days, because I know I've had days where it's just shit is just not going your way. You got complication after complication, and then you're like, man, why am I doing this? Like, it'd be so much easier to just not care and just do nothing with my time and just like do something else. But then you just get that one message or that one sign, and you're like, yeah, this is what I'm meant to be doing. Like, this is the right stuff.
100%. It literally today, the exact thing happened today. I finally edited the episode of last week.
Yeah.
Ready to go. Downloaded it, had it all sitting there, and then for some reason the first half of it was gone. I was like, you got to be kidding me! Like I sat there for an hour and a half waiting for this to download.
Way.
The first half of it wasn't there. I was like, I don't know where this is, and I was so pissed off. I was like, fuck! I was like, what am I? I was just infuriated, but then I was super stoked because I was like, but now I get to go and talk to more people. So it's like full roundabout, because it requires a lot of discipline and a lot of effort to provide this platform for other people. Same like you put in a lot of effort with your YouTube, your photography, organising an event, which is a nightmare. I've done events before, and they are actual nightmares. So it does when someone sends you a message, or someone like watches my YouTube. So there's like 100 views on my first episode. Like, to me, that's I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Like, 100 people have taken the time out of their day to sit down and listen to what I've got to say and what other people have to say. Like, that's the thing that gets you up and go, yeah, fuck, I'm going to go out there and do that.
Yeah, 100%.
It's mad. It just gets me excited even talking about it. I'm like, yeah, it's so sick.
Yeah, it's sick. Even like recently, I had one thing happen to me. I was actually filming a meat vlog of a recent meet, and there was like just so much resistance for me to go down to this meet because it was in Brisbane, and there were just a bunch of things that weren't going my way. But I stuck through it, and I went down there anyway. And one of my dream cars is a Jeep Trackhawk, just because they're
what is that?
They're a family SUV, right? That has a 700 horsepower, 6.2 litre Hemi engine.
Phooey.
Yeah. That's 700 horsepower at the crank, I'm pretty sure. But
shit,
nonetheless, very, very impressive for a family SUV. So that's why it's one of my dream cars, just to be able to like rip through the streets in an SUV and just turn heads. It would be sick. But there was one there, and I was like, man, I'm not going home without filming some of this. So I go straight over there. I'm like filming it, getting clips. And then the owner actually comes up, and we get into like a 20-minute conversation, and really awesome dude. And he actually like went away for a bit, and then he comes back and he's like, hey man, do you want to sit in the car? I was like, my head was blown. I was like, no way. I was like, damn. I was like, dude, for real? He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't usually let anyone sit in it, but you seem really passionate about it, and you mentioned it was your favorite car, so I thought, why not? And I was like, dude. I just like sat there. I was just like so nervous to touch anything. I just like put my hands on the steering wheel and like envisioned myself driving it. And I was like, shit, whipped out the camera, made sure I got like plenty of videos and stuff. So that really made my night, just like being able to sit in one of my dream cars. And that to me, after leaving that event, I was like, I'm on the right path. Like, this is what I'm meant to be doing.
Oh, that's so fucking sick, man. That's... really still saying the F word. Just dropping F-bombs everywhere tonight, bloody hell. But yeah, no, like that makes me feel excited, because I get excited about talking to people like you who get excited. Like, that's the whole point. It's like to feel that excitement, because I don't know, it just does wonders. It makes you want to get out there and do more. Like, and it's so cool to hear someone speak about it, even though like to someone else, what you just said, like he said I could sit in his car. Anyone else like that doesn't like cars would be like, cool, bro.
Yeah, he sat in like a family like Jeep Cherokee. Like, what do you mean?
Like, but to you, like that is the most exciting thing, and it's so like to see you talk about it and get excited just makes me feel super excited. I'm like, yeah, that's sick, like it's mad. Oh, so with your YouTube, what's the go? So are you creating just like vlogs, or are you creating like short films? What's the hit up with that?
Pretty much at the moment, I've kind of got three different things that I do. So at the moment, I pretty much just do meat vlogs, cruise vlogs, and build reviews. So I pretty much just like whenever there's a meet on, I'll try get good content out of it. And I'll just like film myself going down there, and then I'll film all the cars coming in, walk around, film all the cars as I'm walking, and then film as I'm like leaving as well. And I really enjoy doing that because it gives something to people to far out. Gives something to the people to watch. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Doesn't it?
Give something to people to watch.
You're giving something to people to watch. No, it made sense.
That
but
just didn't.
Watching you do that makes like it's the perfect, because I always do this and then I'm like, does that make sense? And then they're like, yeah, bro, it makes sense. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's
Pretty much I love doing that for that reason. And then plus it also just allows people who can't make it down to that event just to like experience it as well, and like even people who did go to like re-experience that as well. And also just helps spread awareness about the whole culture and that as well. And then also do the same thing with cruises anytime I host an event. It's just like a chill vlog style type video where we just film like pulling up to different spots, and then we get cinematics of like other people's car, because that's another thing that people really love as well. They love the videos of their car. So being able to provide joy to people in that way is also really awesome. And then, like I mentioned before, a new series that I've just started filming is the build reviews. And yeah, it's just like I said before, just like being able to showcase people's art and build is really cool. So that's the main content I put up there.
What do you think how would you describe the culture, the street scene culture in Queensland or just on the Sunshine Coast? And what I mean by that is like the people that it attracts, the energy that it's giving out, that kind of thing. Like, what if you could define this culture? How would you define it?
The two words that come to my mind is chill and cool.
That's so good.
Like literally.
I was waiting for this like long, deep like explanation. You're just like the two most
chill and cool, dude. Yeah.
The seas, bro.
Well, that's pretty much it. That's the sunny coast, man. Like, that's pretty much the first thing I noticed when I started like hosting events. Just how like chill everyone is. Like, you just go, you just talk to everyone. Everyone's like accepting and mature about stuff. Like just talking about your cars and your builds, and it's just always a good time.
Yeah, it's cool to see what other people are passionate about, and it's just because there's so many different passions out there.
Mm.
And I think one of the things that I enjoy is to show that, like, one of the things I wanted to kind of portray through this whole podcast is that don't judge other people on things that they're passionate about. Like, everyone should be supporting of everyone with what they're passionate about, because that's what brings them joy. So don't yuck someone else's yum. This is a term that someone told me one time, and I was like, that is sick. I'm going to use it all the time. But it's so true. I think there's so many, especially in the car scene, I think they cop a bad rap.
Yeah. 100%.
It's like, but these people are passionate. They're harmless people. It's just what they're passionate about, and they're not harming anyone else. So why do they always have to cop a bad rap? It's like,
yeah, 100%. I definitely agree with that. It's just kind of like, I think the main reason for that is the loudness. I don't know why we like just being loud.
Yeah, but people
do.
People be loud. Like, look at bands. Look how loud
they
they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Justin Bieber's super loud. Like, You go to his concert, it's gonna be loud, and usually they're the mums that are going to those things that are ripping on people that have loud cars. There is one thing that I don't really like, but it's not to do with cars. It's Harley Davidsons.
Oh,
When
okay,
people fang past on Harleys. I love Harleys, but by God, they're so loud.
Those are like extra loud.
They're hitting they're like redlining the fucking DBs. it's too much. I've never really understood. This is actually one thing that I don't understand, which kind of gets back to what we were talking about before. Is I don't understand why people need to be so loud in public down the main street. Like, if you want to be super loud, why can't just go out the back in the back street and be as loud as you want?
Are you talking about in their cars or just in general?
Just in general, cars, motorbikes, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't understand. I don't understand why people need to rev the fuck out of their cars in the main street. Like, I want to know. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying don't do it. But I just want someone to give me a good a good explanation as to why. Like, is it for their own personal preference? Do they think that other people are like? I just don't. I've never understood it. It's nothing. Like, I don't give a fuck. I've done it, but I'm like, why? What is the fascination with it?
That's a good question.
It's a very light-hearted question, by the way. This is not like I'm not taking a stab at anyone because, like I said, I've done it before, but I've just always pondered. This is like a pondering thought that I've always just wondered every time someone drives past.
I mean, my car's not on the road yet, so I can't really speak from like personal experience, but I don't mind it when I'm like in the passenger seat or driver's seat, I guess. But
do you think it's the vibration? It's the vibration of the vehicle. They can feel the grunt in the chair. They're like, oh yes.
I think it's just the it's hard to put into words because it's not like trying to prove anything to anyone, but it's just kind of like to get adrenaline from like surprising everyone. Not even like surprising, but just from like getting people to turn their heads. It is so, I find it hilarious. For example, when I'm sitting in the passenger seat of a loud car, you just rip it down the street and everyone's like, what was that? What? What?
Like a deer in a headlight.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's where it comes from for me. I think it's, that's a hard one to answer.
I'm going to put this out here. So anyone watching this podcast or listening, comment what it is that makes you like why you do it. Because I genuinely have a genuine interest as to what it is that people get from like this. Is it what satisfaction are they getting from it? Because I just think it's one pondering thought that I've had my whole life and I've never understood it. And I really want to get down to the nitty gritty as to why. So it's not like a hectic, like deep question. I just want to know. Anyone listening, comment, put it in there so I know and I can go through them all. And the best comment will get a Street Scene shirt, and I'll pay for it.
Hell yeah!
So there you go. You heard it here first.
That's a pretty good prize.
I might even chuck in a hat as well.
I think what it may be, even I was just thinking about this. This may sound weird. But it could even be the feeling that being loud like makes it feel like it's going faster. If you get what I mean? Yeah. Like speed. Yeah. Because it's just not the same when you sit in like a hybrid Camry or a stock car and it's quiet and you just like give it some gas and you go. But it's just not the same as like sitting there and you give it gas. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just makes it feel faster. People love going fast because it gives you an adrenaline rush.
When I've done it, I've never really done it in like main intersections, but I've done it out on open roads and stuff.
Yeah.
And it just gives you this, it's the sound of the vehicle and the, like, especially when it's got, if it's like a V8 or something where it's got grunt, it's like that grunt and that G-force that you get like when you put your foot down. You're like, fuck, like you can feel the power. Like that's what,
definitely.
That's the kind of like the combination between the deep tone of this, like the engine / the power that it's putting out and puts you back into the chair. Like that combination is what does it for me. But like, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what other people think. If if they kind of think the same as us, or
whether we're completely wrong.
or where we're just people like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yous are rookies.
Idiots. So with the YouTube, how has it done? Like, how has it been well received?
Yeah, it actually has. I've been so surprised by it. So basically, I used to do YouTube a lot throughout high school, and I actually still have my personal channel up, and that's at about, I think it's at 122 subscribers now. But I remember like hitting 50 views on my main channel videos would be like really sick. And I was a bit nervous to do it at first with Street Scene because, you know, it's not really taken seriously. Like, if you tell people you do YouTube, people just kind of think you're like a weird, cringy type of person, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
sorry.
It does.
Cut you
It
off
does.
there.
No. It makes sense what you're saying, because I've done like vlogs and stuff before, and I think people probably think I'm weird.
Yeah, well, it does take a special skill set to be able to jump in front of a camera and just like feel comfortable with talking to an inanimate object, I guess. But yeah, I was a bit worried about how it was going to be received, but the response has definitely blown me away. And I think it's just good for community because, you know, people get their cars featured on there. Clubs get their events like recapped and put in a spotlight. And I think, you know, the first project, that's another series I do actually, documenting my project build. So
Yeah,
that's on there as well.
Yeah, we should talk about that after you.
Yeah, definitely. That got, I think, 50 or 60 views. And I was like gassed. I'm like, no way. First video, 50 views. I'm like, all right. Like, let's bring it down now. Let's not get my hopes up too high. So I think the next video I released was, I was right, 50 views. The next one was an event that I held with Rolling Frames, and that was a cruise, and I did a vlog. And I really enjoyed that one as well because that had more like cinematic aspects in it, like vlogging people's cars. That one, uploaded that. I was like, all right, let's see how this goes. Got like, I think it was 80 views in like the first day. So I got better than the first one. I was like, damn, all right. And then I got like to 20 subs in like the first week.
Really?
Not the first week, sorry.
That's still
in
crazy.
Like the first month. Or actually, it hasn't even been a month yet, I think. I think now it's been like 1 month that I've been doing YouTube. So by the second week, I think I had about 20 subs. I had 2 videos up. And I was like, man, all right. It's still early days. Like, let's see how this goes. So, shout out to Bad Ideas. They recently held one of their events, and I did a vlog for that as well. So I vlogged going down there, doing like a pre-meet thing, and then vlogged like walking around their event there. And that one like got reshared by their page. People were sharing it around. That was insane. That got to like 90 views in the first day. And I think now after 2 weeks, it's sitting at like 120 views or something.
That's crazy.
And like by the third week, I had grown the channel to over 50 subs. So I think at the moment it's sitting at 51.
Shit.
And I don't know if you have like any idea of what starting your YouTube channel is like. But that is like, to me, that blows my mind because it took me 2 years to get 100 subscribers on my main channel. And I got halfway there in 3 weeks with Street Scene.
Well, I have 11 subscribers. And the first episode that I put out with Dan has like 102 views. And the other one,
Holy moly.
The other ones have 30 and 28, and they keep growing. But every single person or anyone that's ever like everyone that's subscribed and all that, like to me that is insane. Like I never expected. I honestly thought when I started this, I'd get like 2 or 3 views. Like no one would give a like damn about it. Knowing, so the fact that like people have just like taken time out of their day and to watch it, like I respect that so much because I appreciate my time and I think it's very valuable. So I respect anyone that gives me the time of day to listen and support me because, like, at the end of the day, that's all you want. You just want people to find value in what you're talking about. So, like, 11 subscribers to me is like 1,000 subscribers. I'm like, that's
dude.
fucking,
That's
I'm
actually
like, that's
really
insane.
good. Especially 100 views for the first episode. That is so hard to do, especially with podcasts, because they are that. Pardon me, because they are they are that longer form of content. A lot of people would struggle to like look at that like 1 hour and a half video and be like, I want to watch that. But
Yeah,
that is sick
100%,
to get
like,
100 views on the
Isn't
first.
that insane?
Yeah.
It's like all these go for about an hour and a half now. Like I round them up about an hour and a half. But it's just mind-boggling to me that, like, I'm so grateful. I'm so stoked that, yeah, just people would just give me that time.
Mm.
And the other thing is, like, I have people coming on a whole month in advance, which is even, like, I find that even crazy. Like, the fact that people want to give me their time to come on this show and talk about something that they're passionate about, I'm so grateful for that. I think that's insane.
Yeah, definitely. It's so sick. And I think doing YouTube, you'll definitely find that it's one of those platforms that it's like, it's hard to break through, but it is so community based. If you can build like a good following on there, that is like where your true like loyal followers come from.
Yeah, 100%. It'd be crazy to see what this looks like in 12 months.
Oh,
Like by the end of this
it's gonna
year.
be insane.
Because the things that I've got in the works, like things that are coming up that people don't know about yet, is I think it's going to make a massive impact. And I'm so excited to share it and show people because I'm genuinely putting in effort and really trying my best to make this something that people will enjoy for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same as you. It's like the same thing. It's like you and I are just two people trying our best, trying to really just provide a platform for people to also be excited about life.
Yeah.
And it's just, and I think it goes unnoticed all the time because people only ever see you at the top. They never see what goes on beforehand or what goes on right now. Like at the moment, it's, what's the time? So it's 9:30 nearly. And I've already done another podcast before this, and then but you've been here as well, like working, like this. Like people don't see that, and I think that's what this whole thing's about as well. Is like allowing people to see people from the start and then see people at the end.
Yeah.
Like imagine what you're going to be like in 12 months. Imagine how big this is. Like I've been following it so far, and even your Instagram stuff's like blowing up. Like that is like crazy, and I'm so stoked. It's so
Cheers,
sick.
dude.
It's so sick to see like someone bringing something back, doing something fresh and new. Someone who's also young, so it's like that's even crazy as well. It's not like some old guy. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like someone because I didn't even know the street scene was even around. So it's so sick to like see all this happening, and you get to watch it, and you get to watch the whole thing happen.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely been, even from the ownership type of point of view, it's been so crazy to see the growth. And it's so easy to get caught up in all the nitty gritty and hard work sometimes, and just go. Because between me and Dan, we made a deal for the first quarter of 2022. We want to upload a video each week. And then we also came up with like a forfeit / punishment type of thing if we don't like actually do it.
Yeah.
So I've been pumping out videos. I think the first month is officially done. Tomorrow will be the first video for Feb. And uploading once a week on YouTube and getting good content is such a grind. It takes hours to edit videos, and it is so easy to just like keep going and going and going and like just go out and shoot this day, come back, do some back end stuff, order more pieces of clothing, run the social medias. And it's so nice just like on a Sunday afternoon when I dedicate time to like chilling, just to like sit down and be like, wow, like I've done this. Like people are happy about it. People are excited.
Yeah.
Like brings people together and brings people joy and goes completely against what other people tell you. Because other people will tell you, nah, you can't, like the scene's dead. Like it's no point bringing it back, or like it's so toxic, or like, you young people can't run it. Like all young people are like lazy and whatever. And it's just like so nice at the end of the day when stuff's going well and people are enjoying it to be like, wow, everyone told me I couldn't do it and now I'm doing it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's especially being young as well.
Yeah.
Because your generation cops a fair bit of slack about not having hard work, or like not, which I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I'm not saying that the people aren't out there, but I know for a fact that watching you and Dan, that is 100%. You boys put in a shitload of work, a shitload of hours. Every time I'm here, you are both here, apart from tonight, because Dan's actually out working.
Yeah.
So it's so cool to see hard work paying off. And
Definitely.
I guess that's something that you like. I kind of want to like for other people as well. It's like it doesn't matter what age you are. You just need to start, and you need to put the effort in and like just try, because you'll be surprised at how far you'll go if you just try. Like
100%.
This whole thing was just based off the mastermind. It was an idea 12 months ago, and then I did nothing with it. I started going to those mastermind classes, and then I met Dan, then he provided me this opportunity, and then so on and so forth, and now it's rolled in, and this is the 7th episode that I've recorded.
Hell
and
yeah.
I've only had this, this has only been going for 2 months.
Yeah, wow. That's sick.
Maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, I think so. You know what I mean? So it's like if you just start, you just keep working and keep pushing, who knows what could happen?
Yeah, 100%. And I know this is going to take you so many places as well. Just seeing you like being able to get so many guests in advance, and I know that like you're just going to keep improving, and it'll bring you some sick places and sick opportunities, dude.
Man, it's going to be wild. Like
hell yeah.
Oh, it's going to be nuts. Like I'm so excited, and I'm so excited for you. But what we should do is, there's one thing that I like to do at near the end of every podcast, and you get a shout out a local legend on who you think should come on this podcast and have a good old chin wag to young Murph.
Ooh. There's a couple. You know what? Because he's a creative. Oh, that makes sense actually. Because not just with cars. I want to shout out Artie. I want to shout out Rolling Frames, Nibs Click, and he's got, I think, one other account. I forget it. But Artie is like a photography legend. He just uses Fuji. He's like old school, just sick, man. His art is just like so good. His landscapes, he used to do a lot of underwater photography, and he's just such a like laid back, down to earth guy. So I'd love to see him come on here. So shout out to Artie.
You heard it here first, Artie. You're coming on.
You.
And the other thing we like to do is, well, this is what I like to do, is to get people. So if you could tell someone who's just going through school, or maybe is older than you, but sitting on the couch, just has this amazing idea, but just doesn't know where to get his start, what is something that you would say to them?
I would say just try shit. Just try it. Like, it took me, I had no clue what I wanted to do leaving school. And it, like, even with photography in itself, I didn't know what I liked. So I just tried stuff. Tried taking photos of nature, tried cars, tried portraits, tried this, tried that. I've tried different multiple different business ventures, different hobbies, different jobs. And I'd say that's just the best way, because when you find that thing that lights that spark and that like really drives you, you'll just know. And if you don't know what that already is, one of the only ways it's going to come is just trying stuff. So that's probably what I would really emphasize for people to do if they're not sure what they want to do.
100%. I reckon just try, just start something, and then see where the world takes you. Let the universe be the decider.
Hell
I
yeah.
reckon. All right. Well, on that note, this has been another brilliant bloody episode of Creative Appetite, and I'm so stoked to have you on the potty. I'm so glad you got to share that with me.
Thanks for having me on.
No, my pleasure. All right, gang, you know the drill. Wait around for another episode. See you.